From KUNC and the NPR network, this is In The NoCo. I'm Erin O'Toole. A small herd of bison roams the Soapstone Prairie north of Fort Collins. They offer a glimpse of what Colorado's high plains looked like 200 years ago. These bison are unique for a few reasons. First, they're descendants of the herd at Yellowstone National Park. Second, while most bison today carry some cattle DNA, this herd has nearly pure bison genes. And that has spiritual significance for many indigenous tribes. The project is based at Colorado State University. It has raised hundreds of bison over the last decade and transferred them to tribes and wildlife organizations. Jennifer Barfield has led this project for the past 10 years. She's a professor and reproductive physiologist at CSU. She spoke with me earlier this year about how her team created the herd and what their future plans are. Jennifer, one of the trickiest things about maintaining and raising a herd of bison is protecting them from a deadly disease. It's called brucellosis. It affects bison and cattle. Briefly tell us what this disease does to bison.
So brucellosis is a disease that is caused by a bacteria. And if the bison are exposed to this bacteria, they can become infected. So females are most dramatically affected, and it can cause them to lose the calf that they have immediately after infection or maybe in their next reproductive cycle. So they might have a couple of stillborn calves.
Oh.
So it can impact the population numbers, but it doesn't actually take the life of the animal that is infected.
Interesting. So in order to get a bison herd that's free from brucellosis, you use a reproductive technique that's commonly used by ranchers when they're breeding cattle. The embryos are washed repeatedly in an antibiotic solution. What was the moment you realized this process could be used for bison?
Well, I was working with Dr. George Seidel, who was a rancher, but also a university distinguished professor, a member of the National Academy of Sciences. He had a long history in cattle reproductive technologies. And we got connected with the folks at USDA who were studying brucellosis in bison. And we realized that we could take what had been demonstrated in cattle to help preserve genetics of bison while making sure we weren't passing on the disease or creating a disease risk for animals here in Colorado.
And was there a moment you realized there was a market or an appetite for genetically pure bison?
Well, the term genetically pure is not one that we tend to use. We were really focused on the Yellowstone lineage. And that was really important to us, one, because of the cultural significance of that population to Native American tribes, but also really because they are the only group of bison that are infected with brucellosis. That was challenging because, with those really valuable animals, genetically speaking, we couldn't just take them out of Yellowstone and move them other places because we might take the disease with it.
Oh.
And then we would introduce it to other places across the country, potentially. So we wanted to use the reproductive technologies so we could create a tool for getting those genetics out of that area and also keep them safe from the brucellosis.
Okay, so that's why you don't just take bison from Yellowstone. It's really about the genetic material.
That's right. Yes. I mean, you can move bison out of Yellowstone, but they have to go through a quarantine process that can take years. It requires repeated testing. It's just a different model.
The bison Jennifer works to breed have real significance to tribes around the American West. I want to share a quote from Troy Heinert of the Sichangu Lakota tribe. He told the CSU magazine State that there's a healing that begins to take place when you provide opportunities to return buffalo to tribal lands. Buffalo are a key piece of our culture that's been missing for a long time. Buffalo restoration is optimism in its purest form because it allows us to reconnect with who we are as a people. Here's what Jennifer said about the deeper significance of those bison.
They are a symbol of the West, and I think from a cultural standpoint, bringing them back to the landscape and particularly supporting tribal initiatives to bring them back to the landscape are very, very important. And bison mean different things for different people, and they play different roles in different tribes. And of course, I can't speak to that as I'm not Native American, but a lot of our partners are, and they could certainly voice much better than I can the significance of having them back for their tribes and particularly the young people and helping just reconnect with that part of their history.
Jennifer, you have worked with many tribes to transfer groups of bison yearlings to tribal land. You recently transferred a group to the Eastern Shoshone Wind River Reservation in Wyoming. Can you tell a story of a moment during a transfer where this work felt particularly fulfilling?
Well, I don't know that I could say there's one moment, because I feel like from the moment our partners and the tribal representatives show up to see these bison for the first time, they're going to become a part of their herd. And having those quiet moments, those conversations on the side where they tell you what it means to them, and you just kind of connect, right? As kind of stewards of these animals, feeling good about where they're going and knowing how much they're going to mean to the people. And what's really fun is to see, when our partners come to pick up the animals, they may bring their whole family. There's kids, there's teenagers, there's adults, there's the bison handlers, and the blessings that happen before those transfers that are private and intimate to those groups, and allowing that to happen. And then, of course, we keep in touch while they're traveling, and then they'll send us texts that, oh, we're here, and here's a video of them getting off the trailer and running, into the pastures or into the area. And I mean, all of it. It's all fulfilling.
That sounds amazing. I love that you keep in touch a bit afterwards. I mean, it's like, sending your kid off to live in a new place.
Yeah, I mean, I don't feel like we own these bison like they're ours. It's like we're a part of their story more. That's kind of how I feel. And I love to hear about how they're doing and get updates from the people who are caring for them and watching out for them where they go. But it's an honor and a privilege to do this work.
Do you encourage people to go out to Soapstone and see the bison? How do you do that?
Absolutely. I mean, there's nothing quite like seeing them in their natural element, kind of on the prairie. It really does feels right to see them out there. And I think it can mean a lot to people to see them in that space. I will say it can be difficult to see them. They're on 2,000 plus acres and it's not flat and open. Some of it is, but I would encourage people to bring binoculars or to hike a little bit. And they move around a lot during the day. So if you go there and you don't see them right away, if you go for a little hike and you come back through kind of the main entrance area, they might be visible by the time you're done with a hike or a bike ride or something.
Jennifer Barfield leads the Bison Herd Project at Colorado State University, which is celebrating 10 years of the program this summer. I spoke with her in June. You can read more and see photos of the bison at our website, KUNC.org. That's it today for In The NoCo. I'm Erin O'Toole. Have a happy Labor Day, and thanks so much for listening.